my name is Katharine McLennan, and this audio, is the last in my podcast series entitled From Baby Boomer to Gen Z, a conversation between two Stanford MBA class members born 30 years apart. I had the honor of facilitating the 25 episodes of this series, in which each episode featured two Stanford MBA classes, one from my MBA class of 1995 and one from the class of 2025. My classmates were born during the transition from the baby boomer era to Generation X. The class of 2025 was born during the transition from Generation Y to Generation Z. Our class of 1995 graduated at the dawn of the internet, heralding the move into the information age from the industrial age. The class of 2025 is soon to graduate at the dawn of artificial intelligence, another transformative moment in history. The optimist within me hopes that we can catalyze an ingenuity age to replace the information age, where artificial intelligence meets human creativity. Yet the pessimist in me acknowledges the looming possibility of collapsing into an isolation age where rising disconnection fuel loneliness and anxiety and addiction. I created this podcast to foster a wisdom exchange between two generations who have the power to shape the world emerging before us. I hope our dialogues inspire us all to work toward an ingenuity age, ensuring that AI enhances our humanity rather than diminishes it. Each episode of this podcast has varied in tone, and we balance seriousness with laughter, philosophical reflection with some shared anxiety, and most importantly, shared hope. We elders, age 60, give or take a few years, share memories of Stanford and hard-won lessons from our 30s, 40s, and 50s, not only in business, but in our personal lives, our family lives, our community lives. The youngers, age 30, give or take a few years, share their vision for the future and the challenges as they prepare to re-enter the world after their 2 years of their MBA. This podcast celebrates 3 milestones in 2025. Of course, the first is the graduation of this MBA class of 2025. On June 14th, 430 graduates will join the Stanford alum community. On the same weekend, the October 10th through 12th of our reunion, Stanford Business School will be also celebrating its 100th anniversary. Over the past 25 episodes, I've had the incredible privilege of exploring a defining leadership choice. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, will we collapse into isolation as a society, or can we catalyze the ingenuity age instead? Across these 25 conversations, we explored the future of these two through distinct vistas. The collapse into isolation is a vista that is clouded, obstructed, and distorted, where leaders can't see clearly due to silos, inertia, or distrust. The catalyzing ingenuity has a vista that is expansive and inspiring and offers clear sight, creative insight, and an integrated action. Actually, the word vista comes from Italian, and it means view or sight, and it's originally derived from the Latin videre, which means to see. Vista is a term that evokes a sense of looking ahead, not just at what is, but what could be. And to capture the themes that emerged in these podcast episodes, but also the work I've done with leaders and cultures over the last 3 decades, I took this word vista and I created a framework that could represent some of the leadership tensions between the two potential ages of isolation and ingenuity. So V is void versus vision. I is inertia versus intuition. S is for silos versus synergy. T is for tyranny versus trust. And A is for apathy versus authenticity. I've distilled these themes into a detailed report from the beautiful conversations we have, and will soon publish a short book based on what we learned. I wanted to share 3 insights from this series I started in November last year. Number 1, I was deeply moved by the wisdom of both generations. The class of 2025 brought fierce curiosity and ethical imagination. My class of 1995 brought our experience, hard-won, our humility that comes with that, and decades of lessons from lived leadership. The second reflection was that wisdom is certainly not age-bound. It is a bridge. Our episodes revealed the power of mutual insight, not top-down advice. The third insight was that we could see patterns emerging. All of us had a concern for what our leadership character would be. We have a hunger for connection across ages, and how AI might enhance our humanity rather than hollow it out. What's next after this podcast is I will write a book called The Leader's Choice: Collapsing into Isolation versus Catalyzing Ingenuity. Second, I hope to be doing weekly podcasts about the reflections I continue to get, both from my career and also inspired by this podcast series. Thirdly, I actually hope to continue this podcast with the Stanford MBA class of 2026, starting in October. Fourthly, I am going to continue to speak and run workshop series on leadership across generations, making that choice between isolation and ingenuity. Let me leave you with a beautiful Zulu expression that I've relied in my field of leadership and culture development of the last 30 years. And for me, it really speaks to the potential we have, this choice we have between isolation and ingenuity. When the Zulus greet each other, they say "Sawubona," which means "I see you and your potential." And the response is "Sikona." Now that you have seen me, I exist in the world and flourish. So I hope you enjoy the podcast series. I wish the class of 2025 a phenomenal graduation and a re-entry filled with curiosity, connection, and clarity. To my class of 1995, a reunion coming up in October full of laughter, legacy, and renewed perspective. Thank you for being part of this.